The highway stretched endlessly under the baking midday sun. At a lonely rest stop off Route 47, silence reigned, a place where cracked pavement met stubborn weeds. An old vending machine buzzed by the bathroom, and the only shade came from a few picnic tables beneath warped wooden shelters. The stillness was interrupted by the rumble of approaching engines. A biker gang, leather-clad and loud, pulled in, 7 men and women, all heavy with dust and attitude. They parked their chrome beasts and poured out onto the rest stop like they owned the place, cracking jokes and lighting cigarettes. At a far table sat David Keller, a Navy SEAL veteran, lean and composed, wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt. Across from him, his girlfriend Emma, a school teacher, studied a map with a faint crease in her brow. Her calm voice broke the silence. "David, I think we're taking the long way. The next town's an hour out." David grinned. "You call it the long way, I call it scenic." The bikers' noise grew louder as they approached the vending machine nearby. They seemed to feed off each other's energy, every laugh harsher than the last. One of them, a tall, wiry man with a graying beard and a vest that read the Sons of Cobalt, noticed Emma. He stepped closer and threw out a sarcastic remark, loud enough to carry. "Hey there, sweetheart. You lost, or something." Emma froze for a moment, but didn't respond, eyes still on the map. David's gaze flicked up. His posture remained relaxed, but something changed in his eyes, a quiet, measuring alertness. "Didn't hear me," the biker continued, his voice laced with mock concern. "You need directions, darling. I'm real good at helping out." Another biker, shorter and stockier, joined in. "She's just shy, Rick. Don't be so scary." They laughed, and one tossed a cigarette butt near David's boots. Emma finally looked up. Her voice was steady. "I'm fine. Please, just leave us alone." Rick sneered. "Feisty. I like that." David's hands rested on the table, fingers loose. "She said she's fine." The tone was so calm, so even, it almost went unnoticed, but everything about it stopped the bikers cold. Rick turned toward David, eyes narrowing. "What's that, Paul?" David met his gaze, unblinking. "She doesn't need help. Move along." For a beat, nobody spoke. Rick's crew, sensing the tension, gathered closer. One muttered, "Who's this guy think he is?" Another added, "You looking to pick a fight, old man." David didn't flinch. He didn't even stand. He just looked at Rick and said softly, "You don't want this." Rick barked a laugh, spreading his arms to his crew. "I don't want this. Buddy, you're outnumbered, in case you hadn't noticed." David finally stood. He moved with a quiet economy, unfolding his body like a predator that's been still for far too long. His voice, low and deliberate, sliced through the laughter. "I noticed." The gang tensed. David took a step forward, his stance balanced, relaxed. Emma watched him carefully. She knew this side of him, calmed, steady, and impossible to intimidate. "Look, man," Rick said, his bravado faltering just a little. "No one's trying to get hurt. We're just having fun." "Harassing a woman isn't fun," David said evenly. One of the bikers muttered, "Who is this guy?" David's gaze cut to him. David Keller, former Navy SEAL. The name hung in the air like a stone dropped in still water. Rick's smirk faded. The smaller biker swallowed hard. Everyone had heard stories about SEALs, men trained for the unimaginable, who stayed ice cold when chaos erupted. "Look," Rick said, "softer now, no harm, no foul, right?" He raised his hands, stepping back. David's eyes didn't leave him. "That's right. So you'll leave her alone." Rick nodded quickly, muttering, "Yeah, sure. Let's go." As the gang turned toward their bikes, one young biker, clearly not understanding what had just happened, mumbled, "All this over some chick. Seriously." David turned sharply. "Stop." The biker froze. David stepped closer, his tone carrying the weight of someone who had faced far worse threats than a gang of motorcyclists. "Respect isn't optional. If you don't learn that now, you'll learn it the hard way someday. Trust me when I say, it's better to learn it here." The biker swallowed and nodded. "Got it." Satisfied, David turned back to Emma. She had packed up the map, a small smile on her face. As they walked toward their car, the gang stood silently by their bikes, watching them go. When David opened the passenger door for her, Emma glanced up at him. That was efficient. David shrugged, his easy demeanor returning like a switch flipped off. They were just puffing their chests. They'll think twice next time. As David got into the driver's seat and started the engine, Emma looked back at the gang. Something had shifted in them. An unspoken lesson learned, maybe even respect earned. The young biker, the one who had spoken out, watched David drive away with an expression that lingered between awe and reflection. Sometimes, change doesn't come through force but through the quiet strength of example. The car rolled back onto the open road, leaving the rest stop silent once more. The wind picked up, carrying away the sound of engines and replacing it with the hum of a distant horizon, a reminder that there's always a choice to be better than you were before. And at that lonely rest stop, a choice had been made.